can try and win championships, and that's what it's all about. When you look from the outside and you watch this team, I know we're going to have a real good, solid hockey team this year.
Welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined by my co-host, Eric Wilson. And today, we're going to be discussing the 2022 Vezina Trophy winner, Igor Shesterkin, the best player on the New York Rangers. We're super excited to discuss some of these quotes that he gave to a Russian media outlet this week, just kind of reacting to some quotes. We know it's a dead point of the NHL offseason, so kind of just trying to find anything to talk about Rangers related for you guys. Make sure that we're giving you all of the content right here on Fireside Rangers. So if you're new, make sure to subscribe because we're going to be posting very frequently discussing your favorite NHL team. But before we dive into these quotes by Igor Shesterkin and discuss what they mean for the Rangers, Eric, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great, Anthony. I'm very excited because once the clock hits midnight tonight, it'll officially be 2 weeks since Ryan Strome signed a contract with a team that isn't the New York Rangers. The party starts at midnight and it doesn't stop until the day is done. It'll go straight through tomorrow's episode as well. So I'm very excited. It's time to forget about the nightmares from last season and everything that he did to our team and start looking towards the bright future ahead of us. So I'm very excited.
Absolutely. Bright future ahead. No more open net misses. No more wide open goals that Ryan Strome is putting wide left. We don't have to worry about him haunting us in our nightmares any longer unless you're still stricken by what he did in the Eastern Conference Finals. That might stick with you for just a little bit longer. But today, we're not here to talk about Ryan Strome, are we, Eric? No, we're here to talk about Igor Shesterkin. And we're going to go ahead and dive into some of these quotes that he gave to RBC, a Russian media outlet, discussing last season, a few other topics as well, but primarily focusing on last season. And he kind of gave some insight into what he believes is the key to reaching the Stanley Cup Finals in the 2022-23 season. So I'll read off the first quote from Igor, and I'll let you give your thoughts on it, Eric. Quote, "Perhaps there was not enough experience, freshness. Of course, I would like to play in the final, but on the other hand, we gained invaluable experience that will be useful to us in the future." End quote. So, Eric, of course, here you got Igor kind of just talking about the lack of experience that the Rangers had last season. We know we were all super excited by the kid line. The kid line really played well above any expectations last season, especially in the playoffs. But maybe that lack of experience did come back to haunt them, did come back to bite them in the ass a little bit at the end of the playoffs. I guess that's kind of what Igor is referring to there with not enough experience or freshness. And, kind of just talking about how these young guys now, though, have gained a lot of experience playing deep in the playoffs, and that will be useful for the future. So, Eric, what are your thoughts on Igor's quote right there?
He's definitely correct in that aspect. I mean, I remember throughout the entirety of last season, we knew we were going to make the playoffs, but my expectations were really to just hope to win maybe a round just to get those young guys a little bit of playoff experience because it's very hard to go very far into the Stanley Cup playoffs and win a cup when you've never really been there before. So the fact that we made it 3 rounds really said something, it just added on to that experience. So now that our younger guys are going to be a year older going into next season, they can be ready for what's to come in the playoffs. Hopefully it'll be a little bit easier for them, and they'll be more prepared to make a deeper playoff run. So Igor is definitely correct in that opinion.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And we'll move on to his next quote. And I think this quote is the one that I'm going to take away is him kind of saying this is the key to making it to the Stanley Cup Finals next season. And the key is to forget. Of course, the Rangers fans as well, we're all super frustrated with the way that the season ended. We're proud of the team for making it as far as they did, but ending in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals in somewhat of a pretty poor fashion considering how the final games of that series went. We need to just forget about that, put that behind, and that's kind of what Igor's saying in this quote that I'm about to read. Quote, "We need to forget everything that happened last season and prepare for the new campaign with a cool head. I've already started training. I'm waiting for the form from the Rangers trainers to be sent. Then I'll get going back out onto the ice." End quote. So you've already got Igor getting ready for the upcoming season. He's been training. He's getting himself ready and prepared, but he's also trying to get a cool head. Forget about last season. Forget about the struggles that came along with it and just focus on the future. Eric, what are your thoughts on that quote right there?
I mean, once again, I couldn't agree more with him. This upcoming season is basically a clean slate for the Rangers. You can't keep looking back on what could have been. You kind of just got to appreciate the fact that we did make it as far as we did and just get ready to do it again. You also can't go into it being too cocky. You can't be like, oh, we made it to the Eastern Conference Finals last season. We're instantly good to make it there and maybe even farther next season. It's a whole new fight ahead of us, like a completely different team than last season. You kind of just got to say, okay, that happened. Let's take the lessons we learned from it and then just move on and start fresh, just move on to a new season with new goals.
Right, but actually, Igor says that the goal from year to year is the same. Of course, there are new goals. I know what you're saying, but Igor is also saying the end goal is to win the Stanley Cup, and he
Mhm.
does believe that it is in reach. Here's the quote: "Yes, from year to year, the goal is the same. We got good experience last season. I think we have a chance. The main thing is to believe in it." End quote. And absolutely, we believe in the New York Rangers. We believe in Igor Shesterkin and everything that they're building there. Vincent Trocheck, the new signing, and of course Artemi Panarin and Mika Zibanejad, everybody. This is a really good roster that the Rangers, Chris Drury, has constructed. And I do believe that this is a team that can compete for the Stanley Cup Finals. But of course, one of the things that they did need to do is provide their team with a little bit more depth this offseason, which they did accomplish. And we'll talk about that with Yaroslav Halak, right? Because they signed him this offseason to be the backup goalie. And Igor has some thoughts on that and gave some quotes about competing with him. And so I'll read those off right now. Quote, competition with any goalkeeper should spur you on because without it, there is no professional growth. Now our team has signed Halak. I am sure that the competition will also be serious. Plus, you can learn something from him as he is a very experienced goalkeeper. And I wish Alexander Georgiev only good luck, end quote. So, Eric, what are your thoughts on Igor Shesterkin's quotes there on Halak and kind of just talking about maybe learning from him as he is a very experienced and older goalkeeper in the NHL?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting quote. Like, there's no doubt in anyone's mind that Igor is substantially better than Halak. But, as good as you are, like, Igor just had a historic season winning the Vezina with insane stats and numbers. But, you could always keep learning from the vets. Halak's been in the league for a very long time. I'm sure he has a few, like, tricks and tips that he could give to Igor just to elevate him to an even better goalie than he already is. So it's good that he has a fresh backup behind him that, he knows he can rely on, and it's going to be interesting to see how they work together and learn from each other. So I'm very excited to see that duo this upcoming season as well.
Of course, like we said, a seasoned veteran in the NHL. Halak is 37 years old. He posted a 4.7-2 record with a .903 save percentage and a 2.94 goals allowed in a limited role, goals allowed average in a limited role with the Canucks last season. So definitely a solid signing there. One that Eric called a way back out. If you've been following the channel for a few weeks, we've only been doing this thing for like a few weeks anyway. But if you've been following us from day one, you know that we did a video talking about who could replace Alexander Georgiev this offseason. And one of the names that Eric threw out there was Yaroslav Halak. And of course, the Rangers actually went out and signed him. So pretty exciting stuff there. And we're excited to see what this 37-year-old can bring to the backup goalie position for the Rangers and what he can maybe bring to Igor Shesterkin in terms of helping him grow, helping him with the experience that Halak has, helping him learn and grow as a player and maybe even turn into an even better form of Igor Shesterkin if that's even possible. Because, of course, we know that he had a historic season, won the awards and accolades, and really was the best player on the Rangers last season. But to wrap this up, we'll go over some of these quotes that Igor Shesterkin had on his fellow Rangers Russian players. And he talked about Vitaly Kravtsov and he talked about a few other players as well. So we'll dive into some of these quotes and, Eric, you can get your thoughts on them. He had a quote about Kravtsov saying, quote, I hope he does well this season. We've been waiting for him to arrive, end quote. Now, there's really not too much of a pull from that quote there, but it does give us an opportunity just to talk about Kravtsov because this is a player that has a lot of potential entering this 2022 season. Eric, I know you gave your thoughts on him recently in one of our previous videos, but I do believe some fans commented down below that they disagree with your opinion. So why don't you reiterate what your opinions are on Vitaly Kravtsov and kind of discuss what you think his ceiling is this upcoming season?
Yeah, I just want to clarify because I read those comments too, but I know that I'm right. I don't really care what they have to say. I'm just kidding. I love you, fans. Um, no, like when Kravtsov was on the Rangers a few years ago, he was like stuck down on the third and fourth line for a little while, so he didn't really like have the chance to show his true potential. Like, he showed a little bit of promise, but it was nothing that I saw out there on the ice and was like amazingly impressed by. But then when he went over to Europe to play, he played phenomenally when he was getting that top six ice time. So I think his ceiling is extremely high, and hopefully we'll be able to see that this upcoming season if when he's on our lineup again. But if he's buried on the third and fourth line again, I don't really know what to expect. If he's just trapped down there. So hopefully we'll be able to see him play well and get some good point production as well.
For sure. And just to clarify on some of those stats, you kind of alluded to in 19 regular season contests in the KHL, he posted 6 goals, 7 assists, 13 total points. And during the playoffs, he added 7 goals and a total of 10 points in 15 games. So definitely productive over there in the KHL. 22-year-old winger. Kravtsov definitely has the potential to be a solid player for the Rangers, of course. As you mentioned, a very valuable draft pick for them. And we'll see what he's able to turn into. I do think that this year he'll have that opportunity to really prove himself. And I'm excited to see what exactly he's able to accomplish. Of course, we also have some quotes from Igor Shesterkin. He actually did mention Geno Malkin. I know we discussed him pre-NHL free agency. We discussed the possibility of the Rangers going out and signing him. We said that he's too much of a crybaby, and we personally do not want to see him wind up on the Rangers. Of course, he ended up signing a last-minute deal with Pittsburgh and remaining there. But he said, Igor Shesterkin said, quote, "Of course, it would have been great. That's if the Rangers would have signed Malkin. But Geno has spent his entire career in Pittsburgh. It was better for him to continue playing there," end quote. So I guess there's just a little bit of insight there. Of course, Igor always rooting to get more Russians onto the Rangers. So I guess, Eric, you can give your last thoughts on that and on anything else regarding these quotes from Igor Shesterkin before we wrap up.
It's like I said about Malkin last time. I guess in the NHL, if you just cry enough, you can get whatever you want. I hate the Pittsburgh Penguins and I hate Evgeny Malkin. So I'm kind of happy he didn't end up on the Rangers because I've never been a big fan of him. But damn, it's messed up. But overall, with these quotes from Igor, it's definitely a good sign to see Igor looking optimistically towards this upcoming season. Like you said, forget about the pain and suffering of last season and all those missed nets by Ryan Strome. Got a new team, a new beginning, and a new season coming up, and I couldn't be more excited as well.
Me neither, man. Can't be more excited. Can't be more excited to be doing this podcast with you, my friend. You bring all that energy and humor that I desperately need in my day to Fireside Rangers. So make sure that if you like Eric's humor and you like all the stupid things that he has to say
And
all
you
the
hate Ryan
wisecracks
Strome
on Ryan Strome and all of the Ryan Strome hatred that we propel here on this channel, make sure to subscribe if you're new for more of that and plenty more great Fireside Rangers content and all of your New York Rangers news updates, trade rumors, everything in between. It's going to be right here on Fireside Rangers all throughout the 2022 season. So make sure to subscribe if you're new. Ring the bell so you don't miss a video. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Comment down below what are your thoughts on Igor Shesterkin's quotes about this past season and his quotes for the future. And what do you think of the potential competition that there could be between Igor Shesterkin and Halak? I mean, not really much of a competition, but what do you think of the potential learning experiences that Igor can get from Halak this upcoming season? Let us know your thoughts down below. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new. Ring the bell so you don't miss a video and catch you on the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Rangers.
Beat you to it.
He shoots. He's